agenda.
That's it for the agenda.
Okay.
Comments
I do have another motion I'd like to bring to the board.
Okay, Mr. McIntyre, go ahead, sir.
There's been a lot of discussion, obviously, about the rental agreements we've had with our facilities. I don't want to get into the too much of a detailed discussion. We've had a long night. I will just say what my motion is. I have to make a motion to make a motion because of the way our policies handled. So I'm going to make a motion tonight that effective immediately, we curtail all indoor rental agreements. In other words, we will not be doing any indoor rentals until this board votes to lift that restriction. Right now, with the current capacity limits of 25 or less in the social distancing, there's not a whole lot of call for it to begin with. I think, with some issues we're having with one of the rentals, I think this curtails that. That particular rental, we do have to take into consideration that we have staff from Gateway, namely our police officers. Part of that contract is that they are on site in that event. And if the event is not following the safety guidelines and mandates that this district is mandated to follow, we are then putting those employees in an unsafe situation. So I personally can't support continuing that.
Okay, so your first motion is to put that on the agenda?
Correct.
So I need to vote to add this to the agenda before we can discuss it.
That needs 6 votes in order to add it to the
And
agenda.
it needs a second.
Is there a second to add that to the agenda tonight? Second by Mr. Gallagher. I'm just waiting for Bonnie to catch up.
Okay, very good. You ready for roll call on adding to the agenda?
Yes.
So we can at least discuss it.
Mr. Gottman,
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre,
Aye.
Mr. Ritter,
No.
Mrs. Warning,
Aye.
Mr. Williams. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
That was an aye from Mr. Williams.
Okay. Mr. Kaleri,
Aye.
Mrs. Cerrucci,
No.
Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
and Mr. Gallagher.
Okay, motion carries. So now it is on the
I
agenda.
didn't hear Mr. Gallagher's vote.
It was an aye.
Okay, thank you very much. So that was to add to the agenda. Thank you.
A motion to effective immediately end all indoor facility rentals until the pandemic's through, until the restrictions in place for the 25 or less, the masks and all those things, until the board actually wants to vote to bring back the facility rental possibilities. We won't be letting outside parties use our facilities for that duration.
Okay, I need a second before we can have discussion.
Read the motion again, I'm sorry.
It's a motion
To end all indoor rental facilities until the board decides otherwise.
immediately, effective immediately.
Aye. Okay, a second, that's what I meant.
Okay, so now it's seconded by Reverend Gallagher and we can have discussion.
Are you saying anything that we have scheduled now for indoors will not be allowed to come in?
For indoor rentals, indoor facility rental,
And not outdoor rentals.
correct.
Mr.
Outdoor, the restrictions are far less. It's a lot easier to keep mitigation.
Essentially, you're saying based on July 16th mandates that have lessened, or I should say lessened, increased restrictions inside and
Right.
the school
Yes.
approaching.
My reasoning for this has several layers. One, I've had discussions with Dr. Short. From what I understand, the administration is in favor of this curtailment. My reasoning for this is laid out fairly well in our policy. One policy states, the use of school facilities shall not be granted for any purpose which is prohibited by local, state, or federal law. I think it could be argued that while the current occupant has religious exemption from the governor's order, I think it could be argued that this being our policy.
And our attorney's trying to
I was
get
just
in
going
on
to
it
finish my
there.
argument before you.
Before I
That's fine.
interrupt you.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I think he was trying to.
here's, I think you've stated it correctly. I don't want you to single out one tenant over another tenant.
Correct.
You've said it. Don't put icing on the cake.
I understand.
Just get a vote. I mean, I think if you start to single out one tenant versus another,
Understood.
or treat a tenant differently than another, we're in trouble. So that's just my caution. So go ahead and finish.
And I appreciate that, and I think that's for the purpose of discussion. But so, this is across the board, there will be no rentals.
Right.
We're not going to accept rentals from one group and not another.
I like what you're saying.
It's just simply, until the COVID is over, I don't think it's safe to have outside parties in the buildings.
Are you, another question, are you saying the rentals that we have going on right now will be ended?
Yes,
Exactly.
curtailment would be effective immediately.
Even if they are under the 25 state mandated maximum
All
and they're wearing masks and.
All
Under
indoor rentals would be curtailed.
everything is caught.
So, okay, so you're basically trying to override a higher level of government because the government has already said that some of those events can't take place. I don't even know if we have the authority to do that.
I think that the Department of Education on their site, does the order of the Secretary of PA, Department of Health requiring universal face coverings, and that's just the title of that. Apply to children and adults while in schools. Department of Ed, yes. This order applies to all students, staff, visitors, age 2 and older while in school entities.
Okay, we don't
Which
have
would
any
be
kids in
any-
school right
any
now. Can you read that again?
Visitors,
We have no kids in
staff,
school.
or
It's not a stipulation.
it does not clarify who a visitor is or staff.
The more you talk about this,
Based on what he's saying, I believe that any rental
there
would
you
be,
go.
we would be
Yeah.
facing an unsurmountable task of enforcing these policies. And so therefore, I think it's best to just end it.
So the motion is what it is, and it's plain and simple. And
Provide a moratorium on rentals.
don't dance around it.
What I would maybe offer up.
I would like to say that if they follow the protocols, then we should honor our contract. If they don't follow the protocols, then they violated the contract.
How do we know who are we paying to verify and enforce that they're following? You know what I mean? It
I
becomes
don't know, I don't care, that's not part of the discussion.
That is the exact discussion.
My response was, if they follow the protocols, they should be allowed to enjoy the benefits of the contract that we've made to them. If they don't, then they have repercussions.
That's
What-
not.
That's not the motion that was made.
That's not the motion, and what protocols are you talking about?
I don't care about protocol.
Right,
Let's keep this simple. You're continuing to try to add tenants into this discussion. And this motion does not single out or have anything to do with any one tenant, whether they follow the protocol or they don't. Rick's motion is very simple. Keep it simple right now and vote on it.
Are you suggesting we don't allow board members to have any discussion?
Sure, yeah, they
But
can, but I'm just gonna caution, that's all.
I would
Consider-
offer maybe an amendment, if it maybe makes this a little bit easier or more palatable,
It's not gonna.
to where instead of effective immediately, could we at least say, 1 week prior to the first day of school, we don't want to have outside parties entering our buildings and for any reason.
Okay, you're offering that as an amendment.
Yes,
Now the question is.
Rather immediately. I mean, that's
rather
my-
than effective
my big problem
immediately,
is-
we move it to
1 week prior to school.
1 week prior to the start of school,
Which is June 8th.
which is June, no. That's the last
School
day.
now, September.
Yeah, it's
essentially
September 8th or something.
September 1.
So 1 week prior to that,
9/8 is the first.
we would no longer be having any indoor rentals.
You're saying September 1st, start of school
Yes.
September 8th?
Yes.
Well, why don't we just say?
Why don't we just reevaluate it?
Why don't we just have any rental come before the board and the board can just vote it down?
No, because you
Why-
can't do that, because you're getting into a legal issue. You can't pick and choose who you rent your facilities
Right.
to.
It's
That's discriminatory. That's illegal. You can't do that.
I do have a question about the amendment. Of course, there's not a second on the amendment yet, so, yeah. Since I seconded the original motion, can I speak to his amendment?
Well, all I know is there's a
Yes,
motion
you
to
can speak to it, Reverend Gallagher.
Okay.
amend.
My thought is the
There has to
thought
be a
of, once school
He seconded.
commences,
Oh, he seconded it?
Yeah, he did.
once school, the week prior to school commencing, we have other activities that go on within the building. If marching band comes back on August 1st, we have athletes in and out of the building. I'd have to reconsider my second of that with that amendment being put in.
Well, those would continue.
Yeah.
But this would eliminate
Rentals.
the outside, the rental.
No, I'm not saying that they wouldn't continue.
So
I'm
you're saying
saying
that-
if it's a safety protocol, because
Right.
students will be in the building, students will be in the
Correct.
building, possibly effective August 1st.
Correct.
All right, given the complexity of the issue that is not so cut and dry, I would make a motion to table, and we put this on the agenda for next month. Is there a second to table?
Say that again, next month is when? Name the date, please.
August 7th.
The what?
7th?
Our next meeting is August
11th.
11th. Thanks, Bonnie.
So that's, it's 20 days from now, is that right?
Unless we meet prior.
Today is July 21st.
2 days from now.
Okay, there's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, roll call Bonnie to table.
Was that Scott Williams?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Okay, table. Very good. Thank you. Mr. McIntyre,
No.
Mr. Ritter,
Aye.
Mrs. Warning, Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Caleri, Mrs. Cerrucci,
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney,
Aye.
Mr. Gallagher,
No.
Mr. Gottman.
Aye.
Okay,
Motion carries to table.
motion carries 7-2. We'll put that on the agenda. That will allow us time to discuss amongst ourselves, amongst the community. We understand that there are some issues. We're not taking those concerns of the community lightly. We understand that. So we will continue to discuss and address and research. Is there a motion to adjourn?